where we left off. Yesterday, we took some time to add some ambient blue light to the scene. Altogether right now, not too impressive, but it's a step in the right direction. And we're gonna continue. All right, let's start with Link's clothes. Hello, good morning. I'm getting in some coloring before the workday. Alright, so getting to be probably not bedtime for you, but certainly probably done with most of what was done today. And you're almost done with the piece. Okay, that's great. You can, you don't have to. When you are done, if you want to, or if you wanted to before you're done, you could always share a link. You have not. Okay. You've been up for a while doing the art then? You can post on the Discord for sure. This is something I should be better about doing. Let me see here. Discord. The I think it's very... Here, we'll take a risk and we'll... I never do this, but we're gonna do... We're gonna live a little dangerously and put a Discord link in the... on the screen. It's big. I'm not necessarily looking to grow the Discord, but since it was mentioned, it's not an exclusive club. But I liked that other piece you did. Not sure if you were present for a lot of the coloring stuff I did on a lot of the other stuff. Thank you. I've loved your pieces too, especially the figure drawing ones. Yeah, the it's sort of fun to see something clicked over in the internet zeitgeist, the general vibe of art internet, and people are starting to realize, hey, figure drawings are cool. Where can I learn more about that stuff? They've always been cool. I don't understand why. I guess it was figure drawings were not algorithm friendly, is the best I could say, because they're not something that, and they tend to be naked drawings of people that are badly done, and then so they're just scribbles. So a lot of figure drawing is sort of not, I don't think it had been properly represented as something that people should be studying. All of a sudden, people are being very interested in this stuff. So the figure drawing vids I put up on YouTube are getting more traction in the last 2 days than anything I've put up. And that isn't to say much. Like, probably half the people who click on them are still just clicking off in the first 3 seconds. But some are actually sticking around to watch practically the entire sessions. And that's kind of cool to see. So I'll do more of those. I can't, I mean, I can do those all day long. Those are so easy. It's not like they're easy, but they are, like, this requires a lot more intensity of thinking and stuff. Oh, figure drawing is the best, especially the live figure drawings. The place I usually go to is closed due to renovation. I'm just missing it like a junkie. Okay, yeah. I always felt it was like a wonderful place to commune with other artists, like as far as workshops. I think I mentioned this, the Art Directors Guild, which is the union I belong to, is just down the street from me, and it's been a shame, but they had they closed their figure drawing workshop during COVID, and then the powers that be were just lazy and just decided never to bring it back. And there's been this effort to restore it, of which I am a part. I can't go out in the streets and make a scream and shout about it, but you know, we've written very strongly worded letters, hoping to see its return, and I do hope to see its return. So, Brain, I'm not sure if you were aware of this from earlier streams, but I talk about it on occasion, but I'm actually a little bit colorblind. A lot of guys are. It's not really actually all that uncommon to have what they call protan color blindness. It's a red-green color blindness. But I have a very pronounced red-green color blindness. So, like, my brother has red-green color blindness too, but his isn't as bad as mine. Mine is quite bad. In other news, you've been doing line art control practice, and hoo boy, the arm pain is so worth it. Oh, that's interesting. Is there a course you're taking? Or like a technique you're following? I didn't know. I've heard that color blindness can actually help because the colors you guys pick gives the painting an ethereal quality. I'm not sure if that's the case. In the past, I've been on projects where clients have requested specific, let me put it this way. When there was a time where I for the better part of 2 weeks, I wore a pink hat because I didn't know that was the color of the hat. I was like, oh, cool. Here's a Dodger hat. I need a hat. Here's the hat. And my wife, whom I love and knows me, was like, that's an interesting hat. Yeah, she's like, cool. She's like, yeah, go for it, you know? And then after 2 weeks, she's like, so what's up with the pink hat? You know, and she wanted to suss out whether or not it was like, is he making a statement? Is he just colorblind? Will this problem fix itself when without me intervening? And then when it was clear that I had no idea I was wearing a pink hat, she was like, yeah, you're wearing a pink hat. But I wouldn't say, I would say maybe some color blindness helps with me being a little more focused on the values of a piece, because I'm not going to bring a lot of expertise to the color. But color was definitely something I had avoided for most of my artistic career. You know, I do storyboards, so I'm not, most of that is black and white. So I'd been enabled to not really stress about having some color deficiencies. But over the years, I've picked up different techniques that help me get around it. And the coloring process I've been using for the Zelda stuff is sort of a newish sort of technique, and I'm not sure if it's widely known about. speaking of line art practices, I've found a few videos specifically from Proco and BAM Animation, which has BAM. I'm not sure what BAM Animation is, which has exercises that made sense. So I set aside 20 minutes for traditional line art practices and digital line art practices per day. Okay, I know that Proco talks about the tapered line. I don't have strong feelings about Proco, but I don't I think he's doing the work, and I think it's a shame because it's he's actually a good example of someone who is a great popularizer. However, his work itself tends to... I'm not sure that I would say it's crossed the threshold for me into the work. Like I was like, wow, that's extremely impressive. That's not something I say when I see his work. It usually just looks like really good. It looks like really extremely good student work, and I'm not really sure how to say it more charitably than that. It's which is a shame because I know that he would use them as a wonderful introduction, but little else. I would say as much too. Like, I would definitely say, like, oh, you are looking how to, you know, looking for like a what is a good go-to for, you know, taking art seriously as a professional and studying the fundamentals. Go check out the Proco stuff, because I would say I couldn't think of anything better or more popular and sort of doing a great job of communicating and popularizing techniques that he did not invent. But, you know, it's a great introduction to like the Loomis stuff, which is, you know, foundational to me for sure. But I had it before when I was a kid through my mom's books, not through the internet filter. I think he's a great example of someone who can... You can study and study and study and study and study and still not quite get there. And I don't know what it is that holds people back sometimes. I don't know. It gives me the technical jargon and a gateway to get started on my own model of drawing. Yes, I think it... when I look at Proco's work, I just see him he seems very actually trapped in the fundamentals, which makes sense because it's sort of like what he does. But he doesn't really seem to have like... I couldn't look at his work and be like, oh yeah, that's a Proco, you know? It's like... Whereas like your work actually has a style, you know? It's important. That's an important thing, you know? You know, but no real shade to Proco. Great educator and popularizer of worthy techniques and worthy artists, and everybody go check out Proco. That's the there's the endorsement. So let me show you how I light a scene. I mean, these all started as flats. Let me go back in a second. Here. What's a good one? Okay, so this is a good one to start with. Okay, can you see this? I'm going to turn off my my stuff. Oop, no, we need that one on. Okay. So this was a scene that started out as a black and white sketch, and then I inked it, and then I colored it with flat colors, which were bright, like bright colors, almost like video game colors. And unlit, and then I darkened the whole scene so that it was specifically below a certain threshold of brightness. And what that basically does is it sort of neutralizes the entire, the palette a little bit. By darkening everything, it sort of, it reduced some of the saturation, but not so dramatically that we can't see the variation in the color and saturation. And and now it looks like the scene is more unified. Like it just looks like we're in the dark looking at something. And then from here, the process is about adding light. So then the first pass is to add a sort of ambient light. You add the lowest lights sources first. And then here you can see I've introduced what will be the I guess, I don't know, key light or whatever. And then I light from there into the rest of the scene. Just in little steps. And then from there, it was about sort of getting sort of final finishes. Yeah, the moonlight, it's sort of like what happened. I guess that's sort of a theme of my art and coloring technique, is if we're going for like dramatic stuff, like let's make light in the shadow. What ends up happening here is that so you can see the difference between here and here. The color on the wall where the snake is, it feels a bit like Moria K from Lord of the Rings, right? So these scenes are sort of lit and I'm not a cinematographer, but I'm thinking of them with some theatrical lighting to sort of bring that quality to it. And then here I did some like post-processing. Basically, I would say put adjusted kind of like you would on an Instagram filter or just in Photoshop, tweaked some of the levels around so that it gets to the proper brightness here. So that's just like adjusting for white point balance and making it, and so by the time you do that last step, it's like it explodes off the screen. But this is the process for, I think, pretty much all the pieces so far. And we can scan through a lot of these and just see that it's about adding light. So they start dark, and then you start adding light. Thinking about light sources and then just adding them. This is a good one. It starts dark, adding in the moonlight. If you start with the light that's in the shadow, by the time you add the actual light from the lamp, it's like really luminous, right? Well, this is a cool one. And again, on like all of these, I pretty much justify having like some ambient blue light, although some of them are exceptions. But it just makes sense to have like, if there's going to be some yellow or orange light in the scene, then you want to have an opposite light to sort of set that off, right? And so people went, this was well received. People thought it looked like something out of like Dungeons and Dragons art, and I tend to agree. This one's cool. And again, some blue light, because you could imagine there might be like a hole in the ceiling with like a little bit of blue light coming in. The muscles on the hand so well rendered. I did that from memory, from imagination. Oh, here I did a little diagram. You can see in the corner, like you can see here, there's like a little opening behind the camera where blue light is coming in. And then on the other side of the ceiling, and we don't see the ceiling, but we can infer that there's an opening and light is pouring down in a shaft, but also bouncing around through the shaft and then bouncing up and down off the ground, right? Bouncing all over the place. And then this is like the final lighting on the tweak, lighting on the hand. Yeah, there's the final. And again, more blue light. This time the lighting comes a little bit from the side too. And this is like a daytime scene, so that's a little trickier. But doesn't matter. Just speaking of Lord of the Rings, you know, they've got the it's like when you do stuff in a movie, you don't just you don't just do what's real. You set it up with lights. You think about what is dramatic and what's the effect of the shot that you want. It's all about composition. Okay, so this is another one I'm working on. This one's slow going because it's so complex. But adding the blue light. And okay. Looks like we got about that far. Yeah, okay. So, ways to go still. So here's this one. You can see this is a rough sketch. And this rough sketch, well, going through these a little bit. Oh, here's Pura. Another one I did of Riju. Okay, so here, the fill process. So this is what it looks like before I darken it. So you can see these are not these are not sophisticated color choices. It's like, these are pieces I'd expect to see on ArtStation, not gonna lie. I should do an ArtStation dump, but the, I'm of sort of the opinion that, well, I'll tell you something. I'm not trying to repudiate the industry, but I'm actually established in the industry already as a story. Yeah, ArtStation sucks now, exactly. I don't want more industry in my life. Okay, so here's the difference between like the cartoon color, and then I darken it. So this is where it gets to before I start lighting it. So here I've been lighting it. So adding light. And then here's where we are right now. So it just looks like we got a billion miles to go, but we actually don't. It actually comes together pretty quick. And I agree, ArtStation sucks now. How could you, how could they do artists dirty like that by just, I mean, as if video game companies weren't evil enough, you know. But it's like, I already get hired on video game projects. They're, by and large, very unrewarding, unfortunately. I think that is it's a shame. They were bought by Epic, yes, and then they sort of sacrificed all their goodwill to the AI overlords. And, you know, and that was certainly a choice. There certainly was a choice to make that choice. Why do that, you know? It's just so frustrating to, and I wish I could say it was like, oh, well, they didn't do that, but at least nobody else, they did that, but at least nobody else did. It's like, oh, like, it's almost silly to hold ArtStation to a to like an ethics threshold that literally no company is doing. Every company is basically saying like, yeah, we're all in on AI. Screw the artists. Adapt or die, little bro, and all that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna adapt, but you can die. That's the that's what I have to say. Video game industries are in the stage where there's passionate people who aren't protected by the age of the industry. I wish I could say that, like, creative decisions are gosh, how would I say this? Everybody's job, from what I mean, I've worked on big projects. They're ripe for exploiting. At the same time, everybody wants things to be successful without taking risk. And if there's a bag to be held, they want the artist to be the one carrying it. So it's like, essentially, you know, making sure that everybody who works on a project, everybody who actually contributes to the success of a project, is ultimately a disposable cog. I think the other part that bothered me about working on video games is, you know, they don't let you, they don't just let you, what's going on? They don't just let you, post stuff, or at least in the storyboard work that I do. They're like, you know, I've asked, you know, okay, can I put this on my website? Can I do whatever? Like, you know, I made the mistake of asking for permission first. I figured they would be like, oh yeah, just wait 6 months or whatever. And after 6 months, I was like, okay, you know, hey, can I do this? And they're like, no. Can you imagine that? So it's like, I don't want the work that I do to create like an interest in the industry so much as I want it in the broader world. Whether or not it ever goes that way, I'd like to, you know, apply my hand at, hey, what if I did this and just got, you know, enough commissions to live on? So that I could manage any downtime I might have with the storyboarding work. Because the storyboarding work pays the bills. I'm happy enough just to let it. But what was previously a very stable gig is now much more questionable in terms of stability. So that's what this is, just filling out my downtime with a little bit of a venture. Try something different. And it's cool because I'm learning about color and learning about audiences and learning about doing stuff online. It's the most hilarious thing in the world. Creative projects that are somehow supposed to be risk-free. Yeah. Like, really? It's like, it's not that they're not trying to take a risk. It's just like they're trying to be... I remember being on many projects where just felt that it's supposed to be fun, right? But the people that I was doing these projects for were not having fun. It was just essentially... And I don't know. It's like, I got the... They only cared that I did a good job, in that, like, if I did a bad job, it would make their lives harder or something like that. But they didn't seem to have any kind of interest in helping do a good job. The scripts that we get are absolutely terrible. They're just the worst written things ever. Despite employing armies of writers, it really is as if they have no talent for their jobs whatsoever sometimes. It's really unfortunate the unfortunate realities of this stuff. Found the most passion mostly is in small / indie companies. Yeah, I think people... I mean, I feed on that, you know. If someone cares about the project, then it's like, okay, I want to do a good job for this person who cares. If a person is sort of... If a person can't be bothered to care about their own something that's important to them, it's like, how am I supposed to do that, you know? Did you ever play Apex Legends? Do you know about that game? Have I talked about this? You know of it? Okay, I was a storyboard artist on the Apex Legends cinematic trailers for the better part of 4 years. And very... at times it was fun. At times it was extremely frustrating. I haven't played it either. Despite having worked on many of them, I did not ever play the game. Yeah, I worked on some cool ones. A lot of the fans mostly maligned the work that we did because of... and this was frustrating because the... you know, at times we would get scripts that like felt cool, so we would do them. But then, unbeknownst to us, those scripts weren't approved. Then the next day a new script would come in, and like all the cool bits would be taken out. Ostensibly because there was too much violence. There were a lot of cool Apex trailers in the beginning because it was like an indie game studio where people were doing cool things. Eventually, EA put the hammer down on all the like obvious violence stuff. They're like, you got to make this more cartoony so that the trailers don't look so rated R, because this needs to be rated E or whatever for everybody. I mean, I would never play Apex Legends. I mean, I think I tried to download it once, and then I never even turned it on. I don't think I never did anything more than just watch some gameplay footage, and it's cool, and I've had to, I know it well by extension, but speaking of projects that throw most of my work away, unfortunately, it didn't have to be that way, but that was one. And I theoretically was supposed to be working on them even to this day, but they one day that client was just like, no, we're good. We're going to go in a different direction. Yeah. And I've never really been fired before, but I took that kind of like getting fired. That didn't feel like a very nice way to leave off with it. And I'm a pro, so I took it on the chin. But I was like, hey, can I can I at least use some of this stuff in my portfolio or whatever? And yeah, the answer was no. How do you like that? And this is why when I have my own small business doing commissions, yeah. What my takeaway from all that was the companies want it both ways. They want you to rush your work out. They want it to be perfect. They don't want any sass about it. And then when they change their mind, they want you to make changes in a second. Nothing is ever their fault. You have to draw and deliver on deadlines. They get to take as long as they want to pay. And if you don't lower your prices to show your gratitude after 4 years of giving it your best, they're going to find someone else who will. That was the last I heard of it. Was they were hitting up my agent to see if I would be willing to work for less. And mind you, I hadn't and still haven't had a raise in 7 years. Now, that's not to say I don't make good money, but, after 7 years, I think I deserve one, and I still don't have one. The market is just too crazy right now. So my agent, and I wanted her to, held firm on the prices, and they're like, cool. We'll let you know. And I guess they found someone else. That's how it goes, I guess. I think what bothered me most was, the people I was working with, I had been working with them damn near every day for 3 years, and I thought we were friends. We certainly kept each other company during COVID. It felt like we were all doing our best in the face of insurmountable odds. And then it's was like, okay, well, you guys don't have my back on this. It's kind of crazy. And I did okay. I had some downtime, which was scary. What was scary about that was they had been using my time up almost exclusively for the better part of 4 years. And then all of a sudden, the faucet was turned off. Now that didn't mean I didn't have other clients, but most of my other clients had gotten used to me not being available. So that was a problem because they didn't know that I was essentially free to be hired again. So it took a little, and it happened like right before Christmas. So even that was an issue where there wasn't like, seasonally speaking, there just wasn't a lot of surplus work that I was needed on at the time. And possibly coincidence, possibly not a coincidence, but this was during the time when AI was really starting to take off too. So this is like late 2003. Found it's never worth it to work with people/companies that are difficult when it comes to wages/compensation, because even the work they produce will be subpar. It was definitely a race to the bottom, and I actually blame a lot of that on it's difficult for me to like pinpoint exactitudes, but you'll remember that around, it's like so obvious now, and it was obvious to me then, but at the time, companies were quite bullish on NFTs. I just get the sense that they and a lot of other companies sort of overextended themselves into the money-making potential of NFTs. I have one client that had like a spin-off studio that was essentially like partnered with one of those fucking NFT projects. And I've had to work on them too. Like I literally I don't know your feelings on NFTs, but I think they're garbage, and I think history has proven me right. But I storyboarded that first episode of the Degen trilogy, the board, not the Bored Ape, what was the stupid Bored Ape thing? The god awful movie. So there was a time, basically, when the those companies, when they had that NFT money, it was just like free money, basically. And everybody realized that they could get, if they played the music right, that they could get rich without doing almost any work at all. And that was so frustrating. I've actually looked into NFTs, and there's a video that showed me the better side of NFTs for independent artists. I'm not entirely sure it's a bad thing. I think, unfortunately, so if you ignore what the evil powers that exist in the world had done to the concept, I think it's I mean, it's like, I'm not entirely like against the idea of crypto, for instance. I don't own any, I don't plan to, but the the idea of crypto is interesting. In practice, however, it's sort of a bastardization of itself. It's basically just hype. No one could say the same argument about money, I'm sure, but I can take, I don't know, what I saw from what I saw in the entertainment industry was like a possession of people's minds by evil. And they were all hypnotized and just did stupid things with money. And then when things just really fell out, they realized that they had to actually function as a business, and that nobody remembered how to do that. And all the will was gone. Nobody actually really wanted to make projects. They just wanted to sort of ride that wave. And that was the start of it. It's a trash reputation because of all the scammers. Yeah. This comes back to the greater issue. The great issue of the day. And part of what fuels this project is the world. Art has always had an authenticity problem. Art has an authenticity problem. Art always has had an authenticity problem. Ironically, NFTs are an interesting way of solving a little bit of the authenticity problem, because an immutable blockchain does have the right. Oh, no, I follow you about that stuff. Yeah, but just in the hands of scammers and scalpers and prospectors and speculators, right? It's the bad side of the market, unfortunately. Art becoming a commodity was probably inevitable, but I'm not happy with what I saw as a result, and I don't think it was better for artists overall. And then and I saw changes in the people that I knew as artists who did NFTs. They became different. It was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Anyway, there's sort of like there's always been issues with fakeness. The internet, unfortunately, really brings out a lot of fakeness. That's inevitable. Social media makes it even worse. And then NFTs and AI, and now it's just off the chain. You can't trust anything. You can't trust anything anymore. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is have some real transparency, some openness, and some vulnerability. This is not a it's risk with no reward. There's no promise of anything other than some time being wasted, probably. But we'll see. If I can, I'll set a good example. And if that's all that happens, I'll be okay with it. Here, I don't dislike this music, but this is no longer Zelda music. I'm only going to go a couple more minutes. The This is the danger of the chat, is I get sparked onto these little rants, and then I get to make progress on my pieces. We made good progress, but much more to go. Ultimately, I'd say that the people whose art practice is corrupted by money will come back to the practice anyway when they feel burnt out. Became doing anything just for the money gets old real fast. I think for a lot of the people that I saw, like, they had been sincere artists, searching for that recognition, and then when the money came in, it felt like it was deserved. They had earned it, and not for what they had done necessarily specifically with the NFTs, but that they had it coming based on all their hard work anyway. And I won't disavow them that might be the case. But you know, I don't know. There were I had conversations with people that were like, no, this is going to continue forever. This is how it is now. It just became clear to me. I was like, okay, you have some motivated reasoning here. And, you know, I hope you're right for your sake, but I don't think you are. I think this is gonna collapse any day now. Nothing that I wanted to happen. I got hired to do a bunch of storyboard frames for a crypto movie that they wanted to fundraise using storyboards that were turned into NFTs. That was an interesting, cool kind of project. The script was actually decent. I got to be honest, I was impressed enough by this woman, and you know, her money was green enough, that's for sure. But you know what's funny is here's the difference. Here's the difference. During all that crypto stuff, you know, that was basically, everything was about crypto for about a year and a half. Every commercial I worked on was like, oh, here's how we're integrating crypto, or here's a commercial for crypto. Here's a commercial about a new kind of blockchain or whatever. All of those projects, the emphasis was on getting it done as quickly as possible. It was about, like, we would turn in drafts and they would come back like perfect, you know, they would say, yeah, approved, no notes or whatever. And we're like, wait a second, this never happens, you know? But to me, these were big red flags. I was like, these people don't have anything to say about like how bad this script is or how bad, you know, like these are bad takes. Like, and, you know, it didn't stop us from trying to do good work or anything like that. So we just saw that we did good work, and that was finally being recognized. The truth, however, was people were looking to offload the risk. That's how it was. So the crypto project, I have no idea whether or not anything turned out from it. Probably, if I were to venture to guess, I'd say probably nothing ever sold. I'm not sure if they had the hype train to really get the project where it would need to be, where those NFTs would sell. But the art that it did was pretty darn good. There were even some color pieces in there. But if I had a good crypto project, that was it. Yeah, I'll say that much. The crypto clients were... There were a lot of things, but they were not picky, and they were not toxic. It's what it did to my normal clients that was the problem. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, they all, I'm sure, will disavow their decision making at the time. I'll forgive them, but I won't forget. What I learned from that is that the people that I've been trusting to be good stewards of their own interests are actually quite susceptible to bullshit. And I thought working in advertising would sort of insulate them from that sort of mass hysteria. But they couldn't ignore the money. And it's a similar thing right now with like the AI contracts. Like I work on AI commercials. And a lot of 2004 was sort of fueled by AI money. It's like Microsoft needs to get their message out about AI, you know? Apple needs to get out their message about AI. Google needs to get out their message about AI. So you get all these commercials. And like the AI stuff, it's like the people who get these commercials, the contract for it, you know, they think they've won it on their own merit or whatever. But the truth was, is I work for different companies at the same time. Not that's the exact same time, but I freelance. So I'll be at one company and they'll be working on a Microsoft project, and I'll be at another company shortly after, and they're working on a Microsoft project too. So it wasn't so much that they won the project and no one else got it. It's just sort of like they got a project. Microsoft was just handing out as much work as it could simultaneously in order to get the message out as soon as possible. Exactly. And so no one's immune to the hype, especially not their own hype, I guess. Oh, I see your piece. This looks great. I really love the contorted pose. This is awesome. That's an... She's sitting on an apple, right? Here, I'm going to bring this in. We can admire it. Trying to make it full size. Why can't I do that? I'm doing my best. It's giving me shit. There. Something like that. Apple Fairy. It's another streamer you watch. That's great. You're happy with the rendering of the apple. It's really awesome. Thank you for sharing. Nice job with the jewels. Your pieces have a lot of contrast. Like they really they hit. Hoping these fan arts I post get some other streamers interested in commissioning me. How have you been doing on your social media? Let me see here. So I follow you, and I don't believe you've... Where did your thingy go? I haven't seen your posts. You've been neglecting the social media. Okay, it's all good, but I mean, that was my my assumption was that the I mean, I still don't know how to get commissions, so so I'm not going to give any advice, but I'm doing my best to post what I can, and hope that others will help me by spreading the message. All right, well, if you do post it on Instagram, I'll like it for you. That'll be my way of helping. haven't been posting these yet because the personal Discord servers have more concentrated attention, which makes engagement a tad more powerful. I agree. I've been curious about seeing what's happening on other people's Discords, but at the same time, I just feel like an old man trying to come to a party. They have Zelda Discords that I've joined, but they are it just feels like it would be a bit of a disturbance for me to post there, you know? Unwelcome disturbance. Avail, how you doing? I'm working on this. Bit by bit. Bit by bit. Oh, Avail, you should see. Brain posted this. It's a very, very well rendered, hard fought rendition of an apple fairy. Another streamer they follow. So, we give it the applause it is due. You have a great... Hey, there's a crowd too. The, everybody give it up. There we go. Yep. Little claps. The, one thing I've enjoyed in your work, Brain, is when you depict female characters, you don't overindulge in the titillation, right? They're not. There's careful attention paid to the costuming and the drapery. It's essentially making it not about alluring to nakedness and or seduction. Just sort of, it's almost fashiony. Yes, all good things. Yes, all good things. I think the Discord game is like being a door-to-door salesman at smaller bars. Budding stand-up comedians and posting on social media is like trying to attract attention at a massive airport plaza. I'd say that's probably true. Yeah, a comment I get on my social media is, how come you don't have more followers? I'm sort of like, I don't know. Although they are growing. It's just not starting from scratch a little bit. It's weird to say it, but it's like, when you start from scratch on social media, like you really kind of do start from scratch, and then it takes time for anything to stick. But it's funny how you get used to those early days on Instagram last year where it was just like, okay, all right, I'm up to 5 followers or something like that. You know, it's nothing. So, Brain, you got to stick with it. You know, if I can do it, you can do it. Is it really just like overtly sexual behavior? It loops back to being titillating as being as titillating as a plank of wood. Well, I feel like it's this type of art. You know, not necessarily the subject matter, but the depiction of the subject matter is underrepresented, at least in my feeds. We're adding more light. We're adding more light. Nuzukara, how'd it go with that assignment? The engineers. You don't have to share. It's not the world's biggest deal, but anyway, I hope things are going well. The instructor actually liked one of them. Okay, that's good. Good. Actually, and small issues, anatomical drapery. Oh, did you post something to the Discord or something? Ah, here we go. Oh, this is good. All right. Yeah, people are sharing. I'm obligated to, These are great. Here. Big applause, big applause. You can definitely push the colors further. I mean, these look, oh yeah, I got no notes. I'm curious, are these from life or from photograph? Earthworld had a lot of unique shapes for reference images. Yes, it does. Yeah, these are photograph, yeah. And that's the, I'm not a guy that can or does draw from life constantly or anything like that. So I was just curious. Love the variation. They're they look faithful to their subjects without being too overly characterized. Anyway, very good work. Was that part of the class too? Let's see if I can do some justice to Min the small amount of time we have left. That was for yourself. I was dying, studying colors through stills. My curiosity couldn't wait to apply it. Okay, cool. Oh, that's the best. I'm glad you were inspired. It's a nice refresher from just assignments. I gotta study values and colors too. Okay, you might have the feedback. Okay, yeah, DM it to me. The like it, you know, I like to encourage the sharing. It's not always the best, you know, for if it came down to it where like people wanted my opinion about something but didn't want it to be posted. I'd rather get the DM than not hear it at all. You know what I mean? It's definitely, channels are open. I'm here to learn as well as help. I'll have to look at it later though. I'm on a time crunch to get this sort of cooking so that I can stick a fork in it for today, and then any second now my kids are going to wake up and I'll have to make breakfast. And it's coming together, bit by bit. Design is still ass, or at least not at a satisfactory level. Your stuff's a little saturated, but I don't want that to be a thing. Your color design is an ass, but this is essentially like a monochromatic piece. Because yellow and red are too close to each other to provide a lot of depth of color. Do you know what I mean? So where you, like if there was like blue or purple or green light, not just color, but like kind of light, that could have some their values bleeding over. I agree. If you squint, the value of the arm is kind of getting lost in the value of the apple here, and similarly with the legs. There's no other decision making behind the colors other than it looks cool. Something to overlap, perhaps. Nuzakara speaks truth. I was not asked for a critique. I'm actually trying not to be overly criticular when people put stuff up. Because for the most part, this is about... it's like, unless someone asks specifically for a critique, or if there is a... like an especially important teaching moment that is like, stop everything, you know. I think it's more important that everybody just sort of work, like get in the work, get in the practice. Because the path is sort of, you know, it's like take the general direction. Everybody's got their own way to get there. I can see progress and work that looks good. Something I'm just finding by no means. Yeah, is constructive criticism is the what I think could help is something that maybe something, even if it just simply is less saturated here and here. I don't know if that's quite the solution. What if we try, though? Let's try something. I don't know. I don't know. What would it be? It's like the rendering on the apple feels bright and lit and all that. What if it just, but it the way it's rendering on the legs feels like it might not be the I don't really have a sponge tool on this. I'm not saying this is correct, but getting a little bit cooler towards the highlights. I know nobody asked me for a draw over, but the this is sort of for my own edification. Changing some of the local values to give more overlap and highlight the silhouette more of the figure. I don't want to disrupt, it's looking a little bit more like leather now. It isn't so much I want the, I'm not trying to change the, if this is, I mean, this could be super way off. Hold on. Somehow everything got brightened up, but anyway. Not sure if that could work. changing some of the local colors and the values to give more overlap and highlight the silhouette more of the figure. I think the I mean, here everybody is this is the danger. So I didn't want to introduce a big distraction or like second guessing, you know. So I feel like if I do too much, it becomes like, okay, well, I don't want to show Max my work because then he'll point out a bunch of stuff that's wrong with it or something. And it's like, I'm not pointing out wrong stuff. Here, let me just check something though. Okay. So this is what we can see. See how this is right here? Like this, this is as saturated with red, I think, as you can pretty much get. That the dark saturation on the red is, you know, that's not wrong, but it is a, it's, I think, it represents like a wall or a cliff's edge that I don't necessarily... I noticed that when I was doing color when I was younger, is I would constantly run along these edges. And now as I'm doing color differently, I find myself like really playing a lot more around here. Around here, there's not, I don't know if there's like a lot to relate to with other colors that are available. They just feel a little extreme. The mid-grays, yeah. Let's see what else is super saturated. Like these feel very saturated. Yeah. So again, this isn't like me trying to be super picky, but like this is about as saturated of a bright yellow as you can get. And I wonder if this is much the same right here. Okay, so this isn't like the most saturated or anything like that, but it's like it has to be saturated in order to share any space with this stuff, right? The apple is very saturated, you know, and I expect it to be. And apples like are, and that these are design choices. Oh yeah, I push backgrounds to be less saturated and the characters to be more saturated as I can without it looking cheap. I'm not experienced enough with like why it's potentially problematic to be at the extreme ends of saturation with stuff. It just tends to be something that in the coloring process that I've been using, by using colors that complement each other, you get that a sense of saturation without actually needing to get that saturated. Here, I'll not sure if this helps at all. Yeah, part of me just thinks it's the apple fighting it too much. I want you to permit me just a little bit. I'm going to cut out your little fairy and her wings. apple. And it's like, I get that in the war for eyeballs, things like sort of need to be saturated. They need to like leap off the phone screen. So you could almost consider that the all right, no worries, Nuzakar. The character itself, yeah, thanks for catching it. The character herself could be more saturated, and then like the wings and the hand and the apple could be a little less saturated. And I'm not sure if this is coming through perfectly on the through the thing, so I'll put it in the Discord. This is not a do it like this instead, but this is before, and this is sort of like my little tweak. And what I think it does is it sort of preserves without adding too much complication. But just like considering that also the you know, you saw how the apple went from very saturated to desaturated and then white. Because the apple looks like real, right? But here, where the apple is getting brighter, like it's super saturated here in the dark, but then it gets less saturated as it gets brighter. Maybe something like that can happen here. It can be saturated in the darks, but get less saturated as it gets brighter. Yeah, Nuzakaro tipped it. He's like, you have to you have to put a critique in there, Max. All right, let's see here. I saved it here, I think. It's just an idea. You don't have to, I'm not going to be like, did you make that change I told you to make? It's not the, okay, here if we come over here. You know, a little compare and contrast. Viewing it from a distance, I may prefer just an idea. Here, I'll put in the thing. Because I think it's like, especially on compositions where I have to go too. Especially on compositions where it feels like things are very close, you know. Like it isn't a like I had an art director who was notorious for he would look at people's work and tell them to start over. So, not being that guy, I don't know. We'll see if this is it. We'll see what you think. All right, cool. It's in the Discord. All right, it's there. Okay, that's gonna have to be it. It's nearly 7, and I gotta do breakfast and stuff for kiddos. So, let's do a quick thumbnail. Yeah, make some hash browns and eggs. All right. Peace out, everybody. Adios.